everybody. We are home after a crazy, busy, exciting weekend. We were able to celebrate Mexican Independence Day this weekend, and like real true Mexicans, we partied pretty much all weekend long. It was really fun. So our festivities began Friday morning when Justin and I decided to check out our nearby marketplace, the center of Puebla. And walking around, we could not believe that every store was decorated with red, green, and white, and selling everything you could think of in the colors of the Mexican flag, from jewelry and beads to makeup items and fake eyelashes to clothing items, toys, and every noisemaker you could think of. Banners, and of course flags of every size, Mexican flags. So we went around and had a great time looking at a bunch of things, and then purchased what we felt like were the final items we needed and wanted to prepare us for our weekend of celebration. And then as far as parties, the first party began Friday night. We were able to go to our nearby church building where they had Independence Day celebration. And I love it. There's definitely a tradition in even these little small parties of kind of like a flag ceremony where they have the escolta, or they march with the flag, and very often in my experience it's been children and women who usually do that ceremony. So this time there were some super cute kids who did the escolta, and then of course there was lots of food and music. A lot of traditional Mexican music, as well as traditional Mexican foods, and because we're here in Puebla, traditional Puebla foods. So it seems like when I talk to people, the foods that they are sure to eat every Mexican Independence Day: pozole, elotes, chanclas, and chalupas. Let's see. Oh, and tacos dorados, or taquitos, little fried up tacos. So those are some of the big foods that everyone says people eat on Mexican Independence Day, and that's definitely what we had at our church party. So we decided to, last minute, make a crazy but totally worth it trip to Mexico City. With the encouragement of some of our friends, the Kinetic Kerens, who were going to be in Mexico City. We, Saturday morning, packed up our things and drove to Mexico City to be there for the Grito de Independencia, which is the big yell of independence that has happened since the original yell of independence with Miguel Hidalgo. And so it's very traditional and ceremonial. So we decided to make our way to Mexico City. When we arrived in Mexico City, we first checked into our hotel, which is a unique spot. It's called Casa de Pepe, and it's actually a hostel hotel boutique. And it totally exceeded our expectations. Not only is it an amazing location just a few blocks from the Zócalo, but it has such a homey, comfortable feel, and it really is accommodating to any kind of traveler, whether it's the family or whether it's a single traveler. Highly recommend this location. We checked in, we had our little short walk over to the Zócalo, where things were beginning to be hopping even at 2-3 in the afternoon, and very, very high security, which is very understandable and I appreciated. But once we got through our security checks, there were decorations everywhere, and music began soon after we arrived, and we were able to party with our little kids with us. And then later in the evening, Justin and I returned back for what was an experience beyond what I had expected. I actually got, oh gosh, I'm getting a little emotional now. I actually got a little emotional there. I feel like Mexico has become our home away from home right now, and it's the place we're choosing to raise our kids. And we definitely feel a lot of Mexican pride, even though we aren't Mexican nationals at this point. And it's amazing to see all the patriotism of those Mexicans around us, and how friendly they were and accepting they have been to us in general, living here in Mexico, as well as when we were there in Mexico City. Of course, like Mexicans, there was super loud music to the point where your chest is pounding and your body is shaking. And then as soon as the president began the ceremony for ringing the bell of independence and yelling the grito de independencia, it became really reverent and quiet and still, and everyone listened to the bell. Bell ringing, and then when he yells various phrases, and then everyone repeats "Viva!" and all the way to the point where at the end he says "Viva Mexico!" and everyone yells "Viva!" and it happens 3 times, and it was really a cool experience. And
ojalá funcione el micrófono, ¿eh? Sí. Sí, va a salir.
Mexicanos, ¡vivan los héroes que nos dieron patria y libertad!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Hidalgo!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Morelos!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Josefa Ortiz de Domínguez!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Allende!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Aldama!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Galeana!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Matamoros!
¡Viva!
¡Viva Guerrero!
¡Viva!
¡Viva la independencia nacional!
¡Viva!
¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
It would be fun and eventful, especially because we spent quite a few hours camped out. Our friends, the Kinetic Cannons, spent even more time camped out, reserving our spot while we took our kids back to go to sleep in the hotel room. But it was a long time of standing and waiting, and it got a little crowded, and at the end I was worried it would get pretty intense with pushing, but it didn't. It was very calm. I mean, there were hundreds of thousands of people, so a big group, but for being that big of a group, it was very organized and calm, and the ceremony of the grito was amazing. And then right after that, I had no idea that there is the most amazing fireworks show I have ever seen with music, what's the word? Like synchronized with the music in the background. And again, it's loud enough that it's just shaking you to the core. So you're like seeing this spectacular show and your heart is like pounding and shaking to this patriotic Mexican music. Amazing. So I was able to ask our friends the Kennons some of their thoughts.
Really amazing.
That was so intense. I didn't know what to expect, but the Zocalo fell silent, which I did not expect. And I think there was this chill that went through everyone's body. I feel like I know Mika felt it. I know I got tears in my eyes.
You could see it on people's faces.
It was super overwhelming. I don't know what I expected. but I did not expect to feel it through every vein in me.
Totally.
So I think it was special. That was very special.
Bucket list experience,
I
and
think so, too.
we are glad to have all of you have us here in this country to allow us to see something like this.
Yes.
Then our kids have been such troopers all weekend, so this morning we got up not too early, but we did get the crew up and we got outside for the military parade, which is also a tradition in Mexico City. Speaking of beforehand, actually, when we were sleeping in our hotel room at like 5 in the morning, those military groups started meeting up in the street right in front of our hotel, since it was really nice and close to the Zocalo, and they were doing their practice of their trumpets and their drums and but luckily our kids slept through it. But that was our alarm clock this morning, was the hearing the practice rounds of the military bands and marching groups, and we were able to experience the military parade, which also far exceeded my expectations of the parade. The kids were in awe, and not only was the parade happening on the streets, but above there were so many aerial, almost like parades going on, with various kinds of jets and airplanes and helicopters flying above, and some that were just incredibly noisy, and some that were in formations, some carrying the Mexican flag, and others leaving smoke behind of green, red, and white. Just pretty spectacular. At the end, some confetti fell from the sky, and it had a saying on it that said, in translating, it's "We are the people and we serve Mexico." And it was, again, lots of people were there, very patriotic, but very respectful, and it was super enjoyable. And happy Mexican Independence Day, Viva Mexico! And we really are thankful for all the Mexicans who have allowed us to make Mexico our home and feel really accepted. And we will see you back in my next video. Please share, like, subscribe, comment below, and I love to hear from you. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.